Hello everyone and welcome to Of the Earth series outline, an original by me. I have spent the last 14 years developing the stories and researching cultures, languages, as well as mythologies, and these are all my works, and I wanted to push this out ASAP now that we've been over for the past 14 years. Now, while the stories themselves are really interesting and can build up into one of the most epics, and the problem I've had is writing the details, which has slowed my motivation for writing immensely. That, and I have several other projects I'm working on. I have work as well, family life, and so on. So I'm just going to do a brief outline of each of the 12 books planned. Though what is written, just to let you know, they were not written chronologically, but here we go. Book 1, Man of the Wolf. We are introduced to a boy named Defid and his brother Dylan. His father is a Templar of old, and has been missing after receiving a task from the overseer of his order for the past 10 years. The Templars were wiped out 200 years before, but their father, a noble Welshman, entrusted his guardians to oversee his boys as some of the last remaining Templars. A bear attack on one of the boys in the north while on business travel with their father is the starting point why their father goes off into exile, as Wales had a failed rebellion against the English crown recently. We fast forward 10 years, Defid and a few others helping his now sickly mother tend to the withering estate left by their father. Several guardians have abandoned except one. This warden of the estate helped train Defid in hunting and basic combat. With Dylan taken with his father after the bear attack, they only hear once every year from him. Hiding in the northern lands of Bohemia, his brother and father await their return from exile. It is here the main story begins, with Defid going into town for medicine for his dying mother, only to return to the estate abandoned and sacked, with no sign of any remaining workers or the guardian or his mother. Returning to the town, he sees the people flee, as raiders are said to be attacking the nearby Welsh towns. Seeking sanctuary with monks, they are soon raided in the deep of the night, thinking they are Englishmen, though the men raiding aren't men at all, but werewolves. Here, Defid barely escapes with the help of a local guard and a young warrior priestess separated from her mistress. From here, Defid must find his father, all the while keeping from becoming the beast inside. Here, a plot is uncovered about his family and his past belonging to an ancient order, one that would endanger the values of the Christian Church and the Pope's power. Book 2, Man of the Shadows. About 200 years pass, and the new guardians have undergone initiations to receive the blessings of the gods, a parasite that lodges into the heart of its host. It provides enhanced strength, agility, and recovery, a blessing for those who seek its power, and a burden for those protecting it. Here the guardians must survive their mercenary contracts in order to regain the power in the West, whilst being eyed by the royals of the future Spain and the Vatican. We see the rise of the Inquisitors as they search around for the hiding guardians of old, who grow to threaten the Church. Warriors from around the far reaches are hired to defeat the Order once and for all, as the ancient Order seeks alliances from old bannermen and exiled Templars, as well as their descendants. Book 3, Man of the Order. This one is not yet out of concept, but is set during the migration to the Americas a few hundred years later, after Book 2. The Order is no longer welcome with any country or friend in the whole of the known world until the Americas have been colonized. The Order's survivors move as refugees, finally seeking to grow back its full power. With the Church unable to catch them all, they start anew in the Americas, only to find some of the enemies have followed them. A war of monsters ensues. They seek the aid of the indigenous people, but not all the tribes share the same beliefs. The plan to move deeper into the forest land to rally before they strike into the shadows and retaliate against the deaths of innocents. Book 4, Visions of the Oracle. This book is actually an anthology taking place between Book 1 and 2. It is about a priestess being initiated into a high priestess position. During her 13-day trial, she is given visions in which we see into the ancient past, from Atlantis, the peak of the Order, and slowly following the reincarnations of the guardians of old, hit with tragedy and hardships for the past thousands of years, discovering the most deadly secret of Earth to reset with a global catastrophe timed with each peak of man in all the 4 past eras of men. Book 5, Terror of the Earth. This takes place around present day, and we follow a group of people all linked in a strange turn of events, as the Order, at war with the Church, finds a new way to take over, though many other orders have split off with their own agendas in mind. A piece of shadow orders hold their own land and law. We meet 2 Marines, Jack, a wounded Marine recruited for Operation LoJack, into a new version of the Guardian Parasite, and Garrett, a man who has fallen in love with pain and the power to undo the events back for as long as he can hold his breath. We also meet Mindy, a water manipulator, seeking to discover her actual background. Jared, a newly appointed detective with an ability of foresight of where he touches. Nikita, an orphan woman hidden in the US under a Russian ex-military boss who raises her as his own, with her own visions giving her the favored recruit into all the orders as a potential oracle. Each of these characters are being manipulated by the orders to join their own, but turn sour as the pieces come together, bringing them together against corruption outside of their order and the nation's high-ranking officials behind Operation LoJack. Book 6, Shadows of the Earth. With Operation LoJack revealed as a corrupt attempt to give life longevity to anyone with the money, we now follow a fusion of the cast from the prior book, with the cast stuck inside Jack's mind in some time-warped accident, combined with the powers of the others. Jack is now counseled by the others as he's finally convinced from the Order, who wish to recruit him, to break out of prison. Here, the Order is split between the Oracle and the Marshal of the Order, with their followers unsure of who to follow. They now threaten the Orders of the Earth as they give an ultimatum to them: join or die. With the fusion instilling Jack with new powers, he becomes one of the strongest to rise, with his counter being trained and enhanced to fight him as he grows allegiances. It forces a war of shadows to decide the fate of the world and choose between these two sides and its countries, with Jack and the Oracle, or the anti-LoJack with the Marshal. Book 7, Projectorate of the Earth. With the winner long retired from winning the Earth, the nations have been forced to unify as a dictator of the world. The Protectorate resigns from rule as the UN is replaced with the United Earth Federation. Now all countries are mere districts in this new global power, and third world countries now becoming uplifted into first world technologies. As the world braces, it waits for balance to return. The retired Protectorate does have one last task: to end the cycle of the Earth's destruction, with the ancestors leaving behind the tools needed to end the cycle of destruction in this final hour of the fifth era of men. With an outside force trying to stop the Protectorate as Neo-Titans return, hunting the Protectorates of other worlds, Earth being the last. Through time they chase through the Protectorate, through paradoxes, and understanding the depths of this forced destruction. Much is uncovered in the Galactic Federation's interest on Earth. Book 8, Visions of the Protectorate. This happens during Shadows of the Earth. The now candidate to be Protectorate of the Earth in this time is given the same initiation as high priests and priestesses. They begin seeing their own visions and understanding in their tasks in maintaining the vision kept by thousands of their predecessors before them. Learning the forces that have made global catastrophes an impending cycle, the faults of the ancients and the faults of inevitability. As we see the contributing issues such as gene editing, virus making, human augmentations, and weaponizing the blessings of the gods, only to instill madness to its host. Book 9, Guardians of the Earth, codename Operation Red Earth. With the Earth's apocalypse delayed, humans have now colonized Mars, though now corporate heads of Mars wish to split from the Earth into its own entity. The shadows no longer hide, as all sorts of modifications have allowed unlimited augmentations, with blessings of the old being split into two versions. The Earth's, not as strong, but lasts longer without any ill effects, whilst the Martian new strand is nearly doubled in its enhancement of the Earth's version, but after limited use and strain, its hosts experience madness. Earth invades to subdue the rebellion, but fails as the Guardians attempt to take over from within. We follow the new Guardians led by codename Captain Gabriel, though a new discovery in the Martian soil has found origins for a third strand of the now known parasite referred to the Curse of the Void. Book 10, Man of the Gods, codename Governmental Armament Nuance Group, aka Gang. Here the survivors of the First War in guerrilla warfare survive the Martians seeking to eliminate all Earth loyalists. Through subterfuge and undercover play with local gangs, the last group of Earth forces gather what intel they have accrued over the past few years on the run. With no more safe houses to run to, Earth is their last chance with the intel they hold in their hands. This last push to hit their weaknesses as the Martian parasite is now instilling madness signs in many of their soldiers. Book 11, Return of the Gods. With the war between Mars and Earth concluded, the retreating Martians using discovered tech buried escape onto a large vessel and activate an ancient doorway which summons the powers of the ancients, unknowingly unleashing the oldest enemy to their genetic ancestors. The might of all local super federations desperately rally to try and defeat the oldest and strongest of foes. The devouring parasite that consumes all. The Guardians of Earth and Mars make a stand as they discover ancient bunkers and tunnel systems on Mars. Here, overseership is offered to one of the Guardians, a descendant of the last Protectorate, the last Grand Marshal, and the last High Priestess. It's up to the Order to discover the weakness and hold off the incoming consuming swarm of death as the galaxy rallies its fleets. Book 12. Visions of the Overseer. This book is also in concept stage, but will show the new Overseer in initiation, the immediate, the far, and the millennia of history as they begin to learn that ascension to a higher plane is near. We see that other races have already ascended, and soul humans are now being reunited with other human seed colonies, picking up the pieces and discovering another cycle of destruction awaiting on a universal scale, the collapse of the universe. This will have a few short stories and then recontinue where Return of the Gods left off, to overcome the next obstacle of humankind. Author notes. Originally, the 3 different trilogies were made as short stories that were separate, but eventually I wanted to have more as a reader, and I grew some inspiration for tales of a great epic story, so I combined them. The majority of these short stories were actually from dreams, believe it or not. You can read Visions of the Oracle in draft version. It is available on Wattpad. I'll make sure to post a link in the description so you guys can read the previews I have there. Feel free to leave me back any feedback, but this is just a general overview of all my stories in one outline. There's actually a lot more to them, but I can't say too much without giving away huge spoilers. Though I don't expect my stories to ever really become viral, I can hope that a few of you that do read it are inspired to make grand works of their own. In my epic of 3 trilogies and a standalone trilogy of anthology stories, this will be a pretty fun project for me, and this has been, I guess you could say, my life's work. Another side note, if you ever listen to my music, a lot of my music is actually based on these stories and universe. I've actually recreated a lot of the scenes too in Unreal Engine from my dreams used in this video. In the comments, let me know if any of the books seem appealing to you. The anthology books will be made to be read separately, so even if you don't read the main stories, it will still make sense and it can stand alone on its own. Alright guys, well this is Mike G signing off. Let me know what you thought in the comments. See you guys.